Okay, so welcome to the channel. Here we go. And today I just wanted to create a video that just kind of explains what the heck this is all about. There's a lot of ways a channel like this can go. There's a lot of ways this channel will go. So I just wanted to kind of give a breakdown of what we're going to be doing here, why we're here. I even wrote down some notes here for myself, which people that know me know that is a pretty big thing for me. So welcome again to Finding Life After Death. And what is that? Finding life after death is, what does this guy do when he loses his wife and he's got 4 kids to raise? What does he do with that? Because that guy is a hot mess. So that is kind of the general idea of the channel. But I want to kind of give you a little bit more of a just background and kind of give you an idea of where we've been and where we're going. So first thing I wanted to talk about was my wife, because that's a great place to start. Her name was Anna, and we met in our church youth group. We kind of got more, I should say, we kind of became more friends through our youth choir that we were in. And the thing that I noticed pretty quickly with her was that she had this innate ability to call me out on my BS. And if you knew me at the time, you knew that I had a lot of BS. I was the punk rock kid. I was bleach blonde, chains, big huge Jinko jeans, not like the big skirty like elephant ones that they had back then that like literally looked like you were wearing one of those long skirts. But you could fit a couple of me in those pants. And she was the farmer's daughter. And basically everything that I was not. Why we became friends, I don't know, but she figured out pretty quickly that I needed to be called out quite a bit on all of my stuff. And over time, we became closer, and we just realized that we were meant for each other. We dated for a short while. She actually broke up with me though after she went to college, which was a fact that I always like to remind her of, because I was going to California the next day for a family trip, and I always tell her how we needed to get back to California because she ruined it for me for my first trip as an adult. I went as like a 3-year-old, but I don't remember hardly any of it. Adult, I was 16 or 17 at the time, so I thought I was an adult. And so she broke up with me, just kind of realizing that we both weren't really ready for that relationship. Time went by, a couple of years, and we eventually got back together. And at that point, we knew it was for good. We got married in June of 2004, June 19th, 2004. And we were married for a few years, and then we started having kids. My oldest, as of the date of recording this, is 17. He's a senior in high school, and we're going through the process of colleges and all that stuff, which, that's going to be probably a video unto itself to discuss how this guy is figuring all that out, because I am winging it at best. And then a couple years later, we had a daughter, and she's currently 14. And then a little quicker after that than we planned, we had another daughter who just turned 13 as of the date of me recording this. They're 17 months apart. So it's interesting because, most days they're like the best of friends, and then other days, worst of enemies. It's just, it is what it is, and they could not be more different in general personalities, but then sometimes they do things where it's like, how are you guys not twins? So it's funny. Several years went by. We always planned to have 4. I'm one of 3 kids. My wife was one of 6. So, the idea was to kind of settle on 4. We tried for a bit, and we did have some miscarriages, 2 actually, which was a very difficult time for us, and especially for her. If there are women out there who have been through that, you know exactly all the feelings that she went through with that, as far as just grieving the loss, blaming herself, and all of that. And me just trying my best to be an encouragement to her. She knew intellectually it's not her fault, but it was still her body, right? So then eventually we had our 4th, who is currently 7, and he is a bundle of craziness and hilarious. And hopefully as time goes on here, the kids, I'm going to leave it up to them as far as their involvement with this channel, and whether or not they want to be seen on camera. I'm going to have to talk about them, because that's currently what my life revolves around, basically. That got us through all the kids. And then, and that was 2017 when our 4th was born. July of 2021, my wife had been not feeling great. We thought she was just kind of, had a thing, a cold or, something like that. And we had just gotten through COVID and all that stuff, right? One day we were actually driving to another doctor's appointment for my second daughter, 3rd born child. She actually went through a time where she was having seizures, which actually just like this past week, the doctors officially cleared her of, which is amazing. But I don't want to get too much into the weeds with that. She was like, man, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. My heart's racing. I feel like I'm short of breath. I think I need to go to the hospital. Okay, so I took her to the ER, and they ran some tests, and they came back and they said, well, the reason why you can't breathe, and reason for everything, is you've got a lot of fluid in the pleural space around your left lung. And in the upper lobe of the left lung, there's about a 3-centimeter mass. And she looked at me and she said, cancer. He's saying that I have cancer. I can't believe this is our life now. This is a nightmare. And, I was trying to be optimistic for her. Of course, absolutely terrified. And so we made arrangements for her to get the fluid drained, get things tested and everything, which we did. Pulled off like over 1 liter of fluid, which if you're in the medical field, that's a lot of fluid to have around your lungs, around one lung. We made appointments with our, we have a world-class cancer hospital here in the area where we live. We went to an appointment, and after a bit of waiting, because they literally got the results kind of while we were there, they came in and said, you have something called adenocarcinoma, and it's in the fluid that was pulled off of the lung, and because it's in the fluid, that means basically that it's stage 4. And she looked at me and she said, I'm gonna die. And to say that we were shell-shocked would be an understatement. I could barely think straight. I knew that what I needed to do was be there for every single appointment, every step of the way. And I did that. And I knew that I needed to be strong for her. And I did that. That's not to say I never cried. I never expressed any nervousness or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I tried to be that positive voice when her own negative inner voices were beating her down. And we went through almost 3 years of back and forth to that cancer hospital, various procedures. She had, a catheter put into the pleural space around her lungs so that we could drain the fluid at home. I learned a lot about medical jargon through that whole thing, and just various procedures, because cancer doesn't stay in one place. And the thing about adenocarcinoma, it's a result of a mutation. My wife never smoked a day in her life. She didn't grow up in a house with any people smoking. Nothing. She was the cleanest living person I've ever known, and she was, actively working out and doing things, eating healthy. She was a nurse for about 20 years. She started right out of high school. She got a licensed practical nursing degree and license, and then she went to college and got an RN and hoped to someday maybe get a master's so she could teach. And as a matter of fact, the day before I took her to the ER, she worked about a 13-hour shift. So when I say that my wife was tough and healthy and everything, that's an understatement. But the thing about the adenocarcinoma is that because of the mutation and everything, mutations get smart. They can work around drugs, and that's what they did. It would go, into her brain. So she'd have to have gamma knife procedures to remove that, which is basically just kind of zapping it with gamma radiation. And she had that done multiple times with multiple spots. She had a time where she had it in her hip, her right hip? Left hip, I think. Sorry, I don't remember the details, but it resulted in her having a fractured hip because the disease had eaten away at it. And, we had a whole summer where she essentially couldn't walk. We would go to family things and she'd have to ride around in one of those motorized carts. So she went through a lot. Various drugs with all their side effects. Oh my gosh, the side effects. Everything that you know about cancer is true and then some. Getting to May of 2024, we had my youngest birthday is May 11th. We had a birthday party at the house on that Saturday, and everything went great. Sunday was Mother's Day. Had a decent morning. We went to church. She was complaining about pain in her leg, and she had pains all the time. So we didn't really think anything of it. She didn't think anything of it. I, not being a medical professional, I didn't think anything of it. We went to church. After church, we went to a local flower gardening shop place and, got some stuff for our moms. We also stopped, to pick up cards and got Starbucks. And came home, and we had to be at a family function that evening. And we were all driving to the family function with the 4 kids in the car with us. And we were very close to getting there when she said, something's wrong. And she started absolutely just freaking out. And the last thing she said was, call 911, through gasps of air. And I'll spare you details, but needless to say, it was a pretty traumatic experience, and it all happened in front of our kids. And what it was a pulmonary embolism. And while EMTs at the scene, after her heart stopped, were able to get the heart going again, she was down for 15 minutes. So she was taken to our local hospital here in town, and then ultimately transferred to more of a specialized local hospital that dealt with this kind of thing. And 4 days she was there, and May 14th was her 43rd birthday. May 15th, they told us, based on the brain scans, she was down too long. The brain didn't have enough oxygen, and she wasn't going to wake up. So Had to tell the kids that, which I don't, the only thing that I can say is that, you know, God helped me through that, which I'm not going to shy away from my faith on this channel. I'm not going to be overly preachy, but if faith is something that scares you or that you're offended by, I'm sorry, but I won't shy away from that on my channel. And God got me through that conversation with them. And then the following day, brought the kids to the hospital and we said goodbye. So that's kind of everything that happened. So since, you know, we have tried to figure things out. What does life look like without her here? And it is the end of January right now. So we're coming up on 9 months since she passed away, in a couple of weeks here. It was only through, you know, after I got through the holidays, which I'm not even going to touch that in this video because we'll be here for an hour. It was only after kind of getting through that I started to feel like the fog is kind of starting to lift a little bit and trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do with this? That's why I decided, and I felt led to do this. And so that takes me to, what's this channel going to be about? We're going to talk about grief, of course. I mean, you got to talk about grief on a channel like this. Is it going to be a happy channel all the time? Probably not. Is it going to be a bummer channel all the time? No, it's definitely not. Because we do still smile and laugh and, you know, do things to embrace life. So talk about how we're going through grief, how we're managing it, how we're not managing it, both in a healthy, you know, maybe there's some things we're not doing that would be healthy things to do, but there's some things that we're not doing that would be unhealthy things that a lot of people use to cope with grief. Obviously going to talk about mental health. That is a major topic when it comes to this kind of scenario, and then just getting through the day to day. So that's kind of the first side of things. Then I'm going to talk about parenting. Basically, I need to figure out, and I have been trying to figure out, and I'm still figuring out, because it's every day is a new challenge, how to be a single dad. Because I never planned to do this by myself. So what does that look like? Talking about, you know, battles with the kids' schedules. My kids are all very involved with their school, with music and everything. And it is a lot. And I am not good with schedules. So working through that and trying to figure that out, we're going to talk about that. And battles with chores. Trying to keep a house clean with 4 kids. You know, that old joke of, you know, trying to clean with kids in the house is like brushing your teeth while you're eating Oreos. It's exactly what it's like. And then, you know, talking about just kind of general adulting, if you will, getting from unorganized to organized. I am very unorganized. So I have ADHD, and no, it's not just diagnosed from TikTok. It is diagnosed by an actual professional, and, you know, a fairly severe case of it. Trying to get over the executive dysfunction that comes with that and manage everything, that has been the literal mountain that I have not been able to climb yet. But I'm working on it. So it's going to talk about that, and then just figuring out life. I used to work a corporate job, and basically the day after Anna's funeral, I officially quit that job. The decision was made before that, but I quit that job because I knew that I needed to be available to my kids, and I couldn't be tied to a desk and have to battle for every single second of, you know, paid time off or getting out of work early for something, you know. So yeah, that was It was a blessing and a curse. It was a job that I wanted to get away from for a long time, but not like that. Yeah, just the day-to-day, because with executive dysfunction comes the inability to function without structure, but I also hate structure. It's a weird, paradoxical kind of thing. So trying to fight through that and just kind of figure out life. So those are kind of like three kind of, big things. But then, through all of this, I'm going to be doing some DIYs around here. So if you like that kind of stuff, if you want to see me figure out things, I'm fairly handy. I'm a woodworker, but that doesn't mean I know what I'm doing a lot of the times when it comes to, I don't know, installing a shower, which is something that I have to do. So the biggest project right now is my bedroom, because it's my bedroom now, and the bathroom that's attached to it. It's a very small bathroom. I haven't slept in our room since. I've been sleeping on this couch for almost 9 months now. And it's time for me to not have the living room be my bedroom anymore, I guess, and get back to some normalcy there. So, some of the content will involve me doing that and getting that bathroom in order. The bathroom is horrible. It's always had bad ventilation and everything, so there's a lot of mold issues in there and whatnot, and I'm basically ripping everything out and starting from scratch, which was a project that was in the works while Anna was still here. So I basically have just about everything for it. It's just a matter of gutting the bathroom and getting everything in there. And there's a lot of other things to do around here, things that will help with organization around the house. So I'm gonna be doing that, figuring out my identity. Who am I now? It's like, I wasn't really suffering from a midlife crisis before, and I don't really think I am now, but I was kind of forced into one in a way, because the person I was a husband and a father. And now, okay, I got half of that still. What do I do with myself now? Who am I? So I'm going to be delving into a little bit of that. It may not be so, I don't know, metaphysical or whatever. Just kind of things like making the house reflect my personality. And because we made a lot of compromises on things between my wife and I, not that I was hampered in any way by her. It was all compromise between the two of us and that's, how a marriage should work, of just, figuring out how to decorate and all that stuff. And well, now it's me. So what kind of stuff do I want to see around here? And, I've already done some of that. I'll kind of show around on that at some point here. Figuring out my identity. And then, the ultimate kind of overarching, I'm not really sure how you say that phrase. I've said it overarching, and my wife used to mock me relentlessly for the way I said it. So overarching theme of this channel, I want to be hope. I wanted to show that there is hope on the other side of something as devastating as losing the love of your life and the mother of your children and moving on after that. So that's why this channel is called Life After Death, because there is life on the other side of losing someone like that. Come along with us. It's going to be a journey. It has been a journey already. There's been a lot of potholes that have been like pits, and I'll talk about those. And I want to give hope. I want to help maybe somebody else who's going through something similar, or maybe somebody else who has suffered the loss of a loved one, or the loss of anything, because people can lose their jobs, and maybe their identity was tied up in that. Just things like that. I want to offer hope to anyone who needs it. And if you just happen to be interested in this kind of topic, join us. It's gonna be a weird and wild and fun ride, and it's the first thing I've really been excited about since, as far as just what my prospects are since quitting my job. I was gonna go into woodworking full time. I'm probably still gonna do that as a side hustle, but this is what I actually feel called to do. So, really happy that you made it to the end of this video. If you're actually hearing me say these words, really glad for you. Leave comments down below of things you're interested in seeing maybe. And, you know, words of encouragement are always nice. You know, words of discouragement too, whatever. I'm not gonna police the comments and say what you can and can't say down there. Be respectful of each other if you can. But please subscribe to the channel, like the video, maybe share it to somebody in your life that you know may need to be along for this journey. And, you know, if you want to put on that notification bell so you get notifications anytime I upload, do that too. So again, thank you, and here we go.